Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Listen, the honeymoon phase, it's officially over. Today, we're tackling a massive, absolutely critical shift that's rippling across every major industry right now. We're moving away from the wild hype of AI as just, a fun, shiny experiment, and we're stepping hard into the era of governed, enterprise-grade reality. So, if you're looking to understand how the smartest companies are actually deploying AI at scale without completely breaking their business in the process, you are in the exact right place. We're going to unpack this concept of AI agentic engineering, specifically powered by Integrated Process Excellence, or IPE for short. I want you to just let this quote sink in for a second. AI agents without process grounding are fast, autonomous, and dangerously uncontrollable. Dropping a brilliant AI model into unstructured organizational chaos is just a massive liability. It's honestly like giving the keys to a Ferrari to someone who literally doesn't know the rules of the road. I mean, sure, it's incredibly fast, but without the structure of traffic laws, lanes, or stop signs, a crash isn't just possible, it's inevitable. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll hit the Agentic AI challenge, what agentic engineering actually is, the IPE deployment framework, grounding AI in process, and finally, governing the agentic enterprise. Let's get to it. Part 1, the Agentic AI challenge, and the very real dangers of unstructured deployment. Right now, we're kind of living in this Wild West phase of AI. Organizations are moving insanely fast, adopting these AI agents to automate decisions left and right. But the problem? They're breaking critical workflows along the way. Think of an AI agent like a genius new employee you just hired. If you give that absolute genius zero job description, zero formal training, and you just rely entirely on, say, informal office gossip to train them, what happens? Well, first, you get deployment fragility. The second your informal processes shift even a little, the agent fails, and it usually fails silently. Second is process ambiguity. They simply can't execute workflows that you never bothered to document. Third, and honestly this is the big one, is hallucination risk. Without structured rules, your genius employee or your AI agent will confidently just invent plausible but entirely incorrect logic. It's like a rogue intern making up company policy on the fly. And finally, governance gaps. You're left with zero way to audit how the AI actually arrived at a decision. It's just compounding risk across the board. So here is the absolute bottom line. The solution is not better models. The solution is better process engineering. We really have to shift our whole paradigm here. We spend so much time chasing the latest, greatest, smartest language model, right? But this isn't just a technology pursuit anymore. It's fundamentally an organizational and process engineering discipline. Which brings us nicely to part 2. What exactly is agentic engineering? This is the missing integration discipline. So what are we actually talking about when we say agentic engineering? Well, it's that missing piece. It's the discipline required to fix all those compounding deployment problems we just talked about, so you can actually build systems that are reliable and scale. Formally, it's the systematic discipline of designing, deploying, governing, and continuously improving AI agents, all within a structured process architecture. What you really need to take away from this is that it acts as the ultimate bridge. It connects standard software engineering, AI model development, and formal business process deployment. It's not just sitting around coding, and it's definitely not just prompting. It is a true holistic integration discipline. To put that into perspective, think about standard engineering. You build and maintain a static product. A line of code breaks, you go in and fix that line of code. But in agentic engineering, you are building and maintaining the agentic code generator. You're building the machine that builds the product. You become an architect. You aren't just looking at little code snippets anymore. You are actively debugging the AI agent's entire decision-making process. You're updating the rules, refining the documentation, setting up the guardrails that dictate its behavior. You're managing a whole ecosystem. Moving on to part 3, the IPE deployment framework. This is how we turn a fragile experiment into a rock-solid enterprise capability. To actually make that leap from experiment to enterprise scale, we look to a specific, industry-agnostic solution developed by Cachat. It's called Integrated Process Excellence, or IPE. Let's walk through the 6 sequential steps of this framework, and notice something right off the bat. It doesn't start with code, it starts with people. Step 1 is create a positive environment. This is all about organizational readiness and human trust, because AI agents don't work in a vacuum, they work alongside us. Steps 2 and 3 are define and document the process. This takes all that messy tribal knowledge and turns it into concrete, machine-readable reality. Step 4, communicate the process. Make sure all boundaries are explicitly understood. Step 5 is measure and control. This is where you identify performance metrics and catch any AI drift. And finally, step 6, continuous improvement. It's totally systematic. It runs on structured data and root cause analysis, meaning you can completely ditch the whole ad hoc, messy prompt engineering routine. All right, part 4, grounding AI in process, or creating the architecture for context precision. So we've got the framework, but let's explore how this actually solves the biggest technical headache with AI today: getting the context right. Here's a really interesting fact. Giving an AI too much unstructured context actually increases its hallucination rate. So instead of taking a massive 500-page unstructured document dump and just checking it into a prompt, IPE defines processes in a strict hierarchy. Think of it like a funnel. Level 0 is your broad area, say supply chain management. Level 1 gets tighter, the activity, like supplier qualification. But level 2, the element, that's where the magic happens. These are the highly granular procedures and decision rules. And this is exactly where your AI agents need to operate. By giving an agent perfectly scoped, structured context right down at level 2, you drastically cut down its chances of hallucinating. It literally only sees the exact rules it needs to execute that specific task. Nothing more, nothing less. All of those precision contexts then build up into a complete 4-layer stack that seamlessly connects our human knowledge to machine execution. At the base, you have the process foundation. These are the human-authored level 0 through 2 models we just talked about. Next up is the agent context layer, where you engineer the interface so the AI can actually retrieve that highly specific process data. Then comes agentic execution, where the agents do the work, but strictly within those defined boundaries. And sitting on top of the whole thing is the governance and improvement layer. This acts as your safety net, monitoring the agent's performance against your standards and catching any drift before it becomes a disaster. Everything stays connected, it's completely measurable, and most importantly, it's safe. And that brings us to part 5, governing the agentic enterprise and getting prepared for regulatory reality. Listen, the days of throwing unregulated AI at the wall to see what sticks, those days are ending, and fast. We need a compliance lifeboat. Just look at the wave of impending standards: ISO 42001, the EU AI Act, NIST AI-RMF, VDA AI-QM. What do every single one of these have in common? They all demand that your AI systems operate inside documented, auditable, and human-supervised processes. They are literally mandating structured risk mapping and process-level quality assurance. But here's the beauty of it. By deploying your AI agents within an IP process architecture from the start, you naturally and instantly satisfy all these strict governance requirements. You are building compliance by design rather than scrambling to add it as an afterthought. So why does a framework like IPE actually succeed where so many flashy AI-native platforms just fail? Well, it's because it brings 3 uniquely human-centric capabilities to the table. First is organizational integration. The processes are built and, more importantly, owned by the actual humans who execute them day to day. Second is audit heritage. IPE isn't some new fad. It has been validated in heavily regulated environments for decades, way before generative AI was even a thing. And third, it builds a continuous improvement culture. It turns your AI agents from static pieces of code into active contributing participants in your organization's ongoing learning journey. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative question to chew on and to go ask your teams. Are your AI agents just an experiment, or are they an engineered enterprise capability? Remember, the process is your foundation. The agent is simply the accelerator. It is time we start engineering systems that are trustworthy, highly governable, and truly built for excellence. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep learning.